So we are in this quaint little town of Sedona. It's a beautiful, snowy mountaintop town surrounded by the red rocks in the Grand Canyon state of Arizona. We are showing you around here. It must have been snowing the last couple of days because when we came here from Las Vegas this morning on our way, we found at least 4, 5, 6 inches of snow. And now we are coming straight from the Grand Canyon based city of Flagstaff, Arizona. This is a beautiful town. It looks like, mostly it's like a touristy kind of a town. People are just sauntering around in a lazy atmosphere. The sun is out. It's not that cold anymore. And in this background, what I wanted to discuss today is that terrible, terrible situation that is happening in Ukraine. It was supposed to be something that hadn't have to happen. It's nothing new. What Putin is doing looks like he got this from the playbook of Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld. Give you a little background of this conflict. Ukraine at one time was the third largest nuclear state in the world after United States and Russia. It was Ukraine up until the dissolution of the Soviet Union in the 1980s. Ukraine had the largest stockpile of nuclear weapons until the dissolution of the Soviet Union. And as part of their independence, what was agreed upon is that Ukraine would hand over all of its stockpiles of nuclear weapons back to Russia for dismantling, and in return, their security will be guaranteed, and the Soviet Union will, the Russian Federation will guarantee the security of the new state of Ukraine after the dissolution of Soviet Union. Somehow, over time, because of the ethnic mix of the Russian ethnic minority within the state of Ukraine, and also the old the kind of the Russian pride that was bruised with the disintegration of Soviet Union was taken up by Putin to reclaim its old prestige as the largest state in the world as Soviet Union. So he went upon this new zeal and passion of reclaiming the pride of the old Soviet Union through Russia. And most satellite states that became independent after Soviet Union, except for Poland and the Hungary and all of which became part of the European Union bloc, this was becoming now a point of national, not only pride and national identity, it also became an issue of national security. That Ukraine, which is right next door to Russia, if Ukraine becomes a NATO member, or if Ukraine becomes part of European Union, it's just like having Mexico or Canada members of the Warsaw Pact, the old Soviet union bloc, just like NATO. So Putin is now using the same argument that the Bush-Cheney-Rumsfeld trio used to invade Iraq back in 2000s, that Iraq is a rogue state. Putin is saying Ukraine is a rogue state. He's now claiming, Bush-Cheney claimed that Iraq was stockpiling or trying to pursue nuclear weapons. Putin is also saying the same thing, that Ukraine is also trying to acquire nuclear weapons. And on top of that, when it becomes part of NATO, it means it's a national security issue for Putin. So the thing is, United States and its allies are in a very precarious and a sort of a weak ground here to make any kind of a moral or ethical argument against an invasion on Ukraine, because they themselves used the same argument against Iraq back in 2000. It's a rogue state, it's a failed state, and they're trying to acquire all kinds of weapons of mass destruction, and on top of, and finally, that it's trying to persecute its minorities. And Putin is also saying the same thing, that Ukraine is persecuting the ethnic minority of the Russian descent in their country. So 100% it's the same argument they're using. But don't forget that before we become too sympathetic, and it's a terrible situation to feel the pain and the suffering and the oncoming violence or the mayhem and the chaos that any war brings, that the people of Ukraine will face all of those things. But remember that it was the same Ukraine which had the third largest contingent, which killed hundreds of thousands of Iraqis, and Ukraine's was the third largest contingent in Iraq, and then in Afghanistan also. They supported the invasion, and they also supported the occupation forces. So it's an unfortunate situation for the people of Ukraine, but at the same time, it's a history that's coming full circle, and same things that happened, that they inflicted upon others, is now coming back onto them. And the United States and unfortunately and its allies are not in a very strong position to do anything, to do much about anything against Russia. Yes, the financial sanctions and all the restrictions that you can inflict upon, but when it comes to national pride, unfortunately, leaders and people, they can rally their people around them, and they can overcome these issues that people are facing. The resistance they will be facing, they can overcome all of that. So this is more or less, there's no solution. There's nothing, we can say much about it. Unfortunately, life is it's like that. And what has to happen will happen, but we must learn lesson from history. That's the bottom line, and that's the message for today. Okay? And until then, just enjoy the music of Sedona.